Welcome back. Here with Money, 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 and this is the pre-budget special. We are discussing the possible changes that the finance minister perhaps could think of that make you and me, the investors and savers, really, really happy. Now, Ashish, I just want to get back to mutual funds and talk about any additional changes that could be required. I mean, one request that we hear year after year is to introduce a concept of DLSS, debt-linked saving schemes, which are incentivized with deductions. So, do you think that's a fair demand?
Absolutely, because see, you already have an ELSS scheme, which is an equity-linked saving schemes. All that the industry is saying is extended to debt as well. And they could put conditions like this money should go to infrastructure funding and so on and so forth. But it will just help, deepen the corporate bond market. And you could also utilize this money for long-term infrastructure spending. And the terms could be similar, that this money gets locked in for 3 years. So I think, you know, if this is done, it will be good for the development of the debt markets as well as for the mutual fund industry, because don't forget, you know, out of the 22 lakh crores or money that the mutual fund industry manages, almost 14 lakh crores is in debt funds. So there are a lot of investors out there who are also looking to substitute their debt investments through mutual funds.
The other interesting demand that seems to be being made by mutual funds is the definition of hybrid and whether the hybrid fund is going to be an equity fund or not.
Right.
I think right now it's 65%, right? As long as it's investing 65% of the corpus in equity, it's treated like an equity fund.
Right. So this really applies to balanced funds. You know, today when an investor is putting money in balanced fund, per force a fund manager buys about 70% into equities. And there is no scientific reason for it. The only reason is that from a taxation point of view, you're treated as equity if you do more than 65%. But really, if you're a balanced investor, you want that the fund manager should have the flexibility of maybe putting about 50-55% in equity. So all that the industry is demanding is that you make that 65% down to 50%.
Okay, fair enough. Mr. Shah, I want to come down to now some of the most contentious issues around the budget, like almost all years. Long-term capital gains. You know, everybody is wondering what's going to happen, because last time we saw the definition, you know, change for property. Instead of 3 years, the holding period was brought forward to 2 years. Are you expecting any further tinkering on long-term capital gains, either for equity, listed, unlisted, or any other asset class for that matter?
Yeah, so, you know, there are two propositions which I have been seeing happening. Is either, you know, to introduce capital gain tax on listed securities, which is currently exempt from tax, or the holding period for listed security from 1 year should go up to 2 years. My expectation is that the later one should prevail. Otherwise, you know, it will impact, you know, all the investor, and whatever benefit which has been given so far will have an impact on the entire market.
Well, we're coming down to last thoughts, running out of time on the show. So let me get your final takeaway. Any other suggestions, expectations that you'd like to leave us with? And a word on dividends, because last year, those who are getting very hefty dividends, above 10 lakhs, they had to get used to paying tax, which is 10%.
That's right.
I don't know, should we be worried? I mean, smaller investors as well, that maybe there'll be some element of taxation on dividends? I
think in dividend, you know, there are a couple of anomalies which are there, that, you know, if you have a multiple layer of holding, in that situation, you know, at a first year, you know, there is no dividend distribution tax. But on a going forward basis, there is no clarity in terms of, you know, second or third year, whether it will suffer dividend distribution tax or not. I think, again, you know, we should go back to the old regime in terms of do away with dividend distribution tax and let it be taxed in the hands of each individuals, so that, you know, it really doesn't tinker anything much bigger than. That's the expectation which I would have.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Ashish, final thoughts, any, you know, advice, request, expectations that you'd like to put on the table with respect to the budget?
Yeah, so I think, you know, one of the things you spoke about, the long-term capital gains issue, my sense is, you know, if they extend it to 2 years, I think investors will take it in their stride, because a lot of expectation building has already happened, and, you know, people are expecting some kind of tinkering to happen in that area. But if they say 2 years and, you know, if capital gains are still exempt, I think it'll be a positive. The other area of anomaly, which I don't know whether they'll correct it in this budget, but I think if they do it, it'll be good, which is the debt funds. I mean, they had made the debt funds, you know, for it to be a capital asset from 1 year to 3 years. I think they should normalize it with equity and property and bring it back to 2 years, so that there is parity across investment options.
We're just a couple of days away, so it'll be interesting. Wait and watch continues. Let's see what actually comes out on the 1st of February. Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking out the time and being with us. And thank you for watching. Keep it with us, because we will be decoding the fine print with respect to personal finance, with respect to your savings, your investments, as the budget speech progresses on the 1st of February right here on CNBC TV 18. That's it on this show. We'll see you again next week.